Leo Rautins.
The youngest ever to play on the national team, 16 years old. You had 14 knee surgeries.
I was worried about the end at the beginning. See a lot of guys struggle. I got former players that I coached struggle. I got guys that played with the struggle. And it should be talked about early on. I just knew I was going to play in the NBA. It would be stupid for me not to have a plan, an idea that this could stop tomorrow. Your degree means nothing. Your resume means everything. So anytime I was injured, anything, I started building this resume. So when the day finally came where I'm done, I had a resume. Like I did a ton of stuff for no money. You know you got to go shoot 1,000 jumpers. Say, well, you need to get on the phone, make 2 hours of phone calls. This was my best deal. I signed in France. My foot goes like that. You could hear it from my knee. Had some cocktails, felt sorry for myself. Got up next morning, made phone calls, had a job at TV a week later.
Welcome. Today's guest is a very special one. You've probably seen him from his 30 years in television. Working for the Raptors as a broadcaster. He's a 16-year-old basketball prodigy. He's the youngest player to ever play on the Canadian national team. He is on the Syracuse All-Century team, a Canada Basketball Hall of Famer, Ontario Basketball Hall of Famer. Went to University of Minnesota, standout at Syracuse. He's the first player in Big East history to record a triple-double. He did that twice in the same month. Entered the NBA draft, was a first-round pick, the second Canadian to ever do that, a basketball legend, and I know we use that term loosely, but he really is Mr. Leo Rautins. We've had the pleasure of, as I said, having some conversations off camera. And a few things you said really stuck with me, and that's why I want to sit down with you and do this. But I know a bit about you, but for the people who don't, could you tell us about your family background?
Well, the big thing for me is I think that really set the tone for where I went to in my life is my background is Lithuanian. Yeah. And we all play basketball. Yeah. National sport in Lithuania. So all the kids here, even though I played hockey like everybody else, we were all hooping. We had the Church of the Resurrection on the west side. We had priests that came from the States that knew basketball. They were coaching us. You had, my brother and his friends were really my driving force because our brother played for Canada, got drafted, got scholarship to the States. And, whatever he did, I just had to be better.
How old was he?
He's 8 years older.
Okay.
And
big gap.
And, he treated me like crap, said, you stink, you can't play. And so everything I had to do was to prove him wrong.
And did you?
So he got drafted in the NBA. I said, I'm going to be a first-round pick. He played for Canada. I said, I'm going to be the best player in Canada. He had a couple scholarships. I said, I'm going to have 100. And I did. Yeah. And I reminded him of that. But,
check.
Yeah. So really that kind of laid the groundwork for who I am. My family background and that history kind of tells you what I'm about and where I had to go.
One of the things I get to do is I get to research people like yourself. So like I said, I knew you, but I didn't really know. It's reported that your mother was an Olympic level swimmer. Is that true?
Yeah, it was the Lithuanians had to escape from the Russians and when they came in to invade the country, Soviet Union. So she was on target to be a national team swimmer in Lithuania.
Oh wow!
And then unfortunately, when the Russians invaded, they all had to escape and run. So she still came back to Canada, and she was a concert pianist. I mean, she worked.
Oh wow, talented! Oh my goodness!
In Canada, she taught. She got incredible history. When she came to Canada, she worked at a prime minister's house. Her father made her take English when she was a little girl in Lithuania. Like 100 years ago, who would have had the foresight? And because she had a little bit of English when she came over, she was able to get a job. And her first job was at the Prime Minister's house in Ottawa. Wow, so, incredible background, and but an athletic background too, which was a big part of our upbringing. Everything was go out there, get out there and do it.
So were you born in Ottawa then, or were you born in Toronto?
Born in Toronto. Okay,
and your parents met in a prison camp, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Work camp, and a wild story. My dad lost his entire family when the Russians came. He's Latvian.
Yes. Okay. Right.
And his whole family was wiped out. Had brothers, and everybody just wiped out. And they met. My mother had her mother and her grandmother, and they've met my dad, and they kind of took him in this prisoner camp, right? And he actually had a chance to leave. He befriended a guard. And the guard came up to one day, like handed him a uniform. If you put this on, you can walk out.
Wow.
And he wouldn't do it because he wouldn't leave them, which is crazy. Because you just, you know, you don't know if you're going to live or die. You don't know what's going to happen. And you get out, but he wouldn't leave them.
If he left, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how their life started. So, and they lived, you know, together for what, 65 years.
So who had the biggest influence on you playing basketball, your mom or your dad?
My brother.
Okay.
Yeah, my brother.
Who introduced him?
Huh?
Who introduced him?
I really don't know. Because he played hockey, was really good in hockey.
Okay.
But he went to St. Mike's. And Dan Prendergast coached him, and Dan Prendergast was my coach.
Okay.
So, you know, he just got into the sport and was really good. And because of him, I used to go to St. Mike's when I was still in grade school and actually practice with their teams because Dan Prendergast let me come in and do it. You know, I think the big thing was, yeah, my brother was my driving force, but my parents, and my dad was a really good athlete.
Okay.
Great tennis player. Like he'd be in his 50s, you know, kicking ass on 25-year-old guys. Just it's like I used to go watch it. He just look at me and wink.
Yeah.
He's kind of a cool customer, right?
Right.
But so anything you wanted to do is you can do. Like nobody ever, like I was telling people when I was, you know, 12 years old and playing the NBA. Nobody said, "Come on," like what, you know, especially for a Canadian kid to say that.
Yeah.
No, but nobody was saying, you know, you're nuts. You can't do. Why are you thinking that? So my parents were always like, "You can do it, right? You know, you can do whatever you want to do." So I think the fact that they were athletic and very supportive is huge.
Yeah. Would you say that the way your parents lived influenced the way that you went ahead and, you know, what, chased your dreams?
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, you have your world taken away from you.
Yeah.
Family slaughtered, literally slaughtered. On my mother's side too. You come to another country where you have no money. You don't speak the language, basically, like other than my mother and a little bit of English. You don't speak the language. You have no job. You have nothing. And you got to start.
And you make it.
And you make it. No excuses, right? So, you know, my dad, he had one of those jobs he couldn't tell us about. He worked for the Department of Defense.
Oh, wow.
Electronics.
Okay.
And taught himself.
Serious?
Himself. Electronics, right? So, like, he literally, anything in a car breaks down, he fixes car. You know, roof breakdown, he does the roof. Everything, right?
Real handyman.
Yeah. And so, you know, I look at them. My mother, like a concert pianist, she taught a million kids in Toronto. So you know, there was no excuses, no nothing. Like you just get up and do it. You don't feel good, you go to work. You don't have any money, make it. You know, it's like no excuses.
Yeah.
So that you know, that was big for me. And the same thing, I had a lot of medical things that happened in my history, and you know, it's like, let's go.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If the car breaks down, I'm calling CAA. Yeah. I won't. I'm not cut from that.
As much as my dad was, I literally lay under the car with my dad when he's working.
Me too. I did that too.
Yeah, I'd be on a roof helping him do the roof.
Didn't help,
but he said to me, "Hello, what are you doing?"
So you obviously gravitated towards basketball. You know, me from your older brother. When did you know that you were good and better than all the other kids? Was it your height? Was it your...
I was always taller.
Yeah.
But in grade school, it was just, I was way better than everybody.
Yeah.
I remember I was playing with Lithuanian teams, like older. So we'd have men's teams and then older guys, like younger, like older teenagers.
Yeah.
So I was always playing up. Like in 8th grade, I was playing with the men. Right. And see, that was actually a big part of my growth.
Of course.
So, growing up in Toronto, the competition was there, what's your better at that time.
Yeah.
So because I was Lithuanian, I was playing in men's leagues, right?
And how old were you?
8th grade.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I was playing with
12.
Yeah. And my brother, you know, like the city leagues, the men's leagues, there were no rules of where you could play. So I go play with my brother's teams, other teams, men's leagues. Like on school nights, I was getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning because my ride went to the bar after the game. So it's either you go to the bar after the game or you don't go to the game and you don't have a ride home.
Yeah.
So that was my high school. Like, I mean, I used to come home at 2 o'clock in the morning on a school night, after sitting in a bar in Mississauga somewhere because that's where the game was.
And then wake up and go to school the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents, it's almost like they knew this was the passage, the rite of passage. This is how you had to do it. So they never said, what are you doing? I'm like, that's what you did. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's pretty wild looking back. But so I knew I was better.
Yeah.
And even when I was playing with the men, I was better.
Really?
I kept getting better. And well, I get to a point where I've told this story a million times. So I tried out for the Canadian national team.
Yeah.
They had an open tryout when I was, I hadn't turned 16 yet. And no, it was a Ontario junior team, 21 and under.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't have the different groups at that. It was 21 and under. That was the junior team.
Right.
So I went, and I thought I should have made it. I played well. And they say, hey, thanks for coming out, but you're too young. Maybe not. I was so pissed. I thought too young. Like I was just pissed. So I was in the gym I played all the time. And after Dad told me that, I go, okay, all right, I'm gonna show you. And then by later, this was probably in I don't know, late summer, fall. I know by the next, I turned 16. I tried out for the Canadian. There was an open tryout. We had an all-star game in Buffalo. Toronto All-Star game, and we played a game in Buffalo. And say that we got home 1:30 in the morning. I actually got my first scholarship offer that night from Canisius.
Okay.
We kicked ass on some team from Buffalo, and got home really late. And my dad wakes me up like it's 7 o'clock and 6:30 in the morning. He goes, "You gonna go to this national tryout?" I go, "Why? So you can tell me I'm too young? I ain't going." And he goes, "Well, what are you gonna do all day?" "I'm gonna ball." "Okay, who are you playing with?" "I'll get my guys." He goes, "Well, they're all there. Let's go." I go, "All right." I didn't want to go. I went. And my dad would never does something like that. Never does something like that.
Why'd he do it?
I don't know. Just said go. And so he takes me there. And, open kind of thing. They put guys on teams. They start playing. So I'm on. I get on. And right away, I had a dunk. I had a jumper, blocked the shot. I only played 5 minutes. And Coach Johnny was just, come here. Here we go. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Too young.
Yeah.
And he says, man, I want to invite you to national camp. I go, huh? What? Right? It's like I was ready to go out, and he says, I want to invite you to national camp. And changed my whole life.
The youngest ever to play on the national team, 16 years old. But it's funny you bring that story up, talking about you got pissed and you got cut. Because the first time I met you was you were national team coach from 2005 to 2011. I went to school in 2008. I went to Montreal. You cut me, and that pissed me off. So,
by the way, cutting players is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, you told me I wasn't good enough literally after like 10 minutes, which is true. I wasn't at the time, but that actually helped me, because then after that I wanted to play for Canada after you cut me. So Dave DeVero brought me, which was my coach. We met, and then within 5 minutes you were like, yeah, buddy, you're not. And I told you that on the phone the other day, which is my first funny story with you. And then on the phone you said something to me which stuck with me. You said at 9 years old, which is still unfathomable to me, you said you're going to play in the NBA, and you said you're going to work on television. Those are the two things you said you wanted to do.
Yeah, ninth grade.
Ninth grade. Sorry. So ninth grade. Like I want to know how did you know that, and why did you stick with it even afterwards?
The NBA part, I don't know how I knew. I just knew I was going to play in the NBA.
Okay.
There's nothing you could have said that could say no, nothing. I just knew I was going to play. I can't explain that one. And you got to remember, back then, you're lucky if you saw one NBA game a week. Lucky. On a fuzzy screen on TV. The Buffalo Braves played some games in Toronto, which was like a world opening up to me. And when I saw that, I remember Bob. I wore number 11 my whole life. Bob.
Okay.
I saw him drop 48 in the Celtics, and so it was like this new world. So for some reason, I just knew that was going to happen. And then I walked into Dan Prendergast, who actually was also the guidance counselor. I walked in his office and I said, Coach, no math. No math. No math. Hey, when the score is double digits, I'm going like, hey, like I can't. Math scares the shit out of me.
You like money?
Huh?
You like money?
Yeah, but that's,
Well, then you've gotten better at math.
yeah, but just numbers just scare me. And like John Saunders, who was the first broadcaster for the Raptors, we do ESPN games, Raptor games together. And like I go, hey, you know, they better get their act together. You know, they're cutting down the score. He goes, well, how much is the score getting down by? I go, well, a lot, John.
This is on TV.
Well, yeah, national TV. He tried to pin me down because they knew. I had no idea. I just know he got a score. But
It's very honest of you.
but like it was terrible. And but anyway, so I go to my guidance counselor. I said, look, I can't. I'm good around people.
Yeah.
And then I said to him, and I don't know how I figured this out. I go, look, I'm going to play in the NBA. I'm going to be, people going to know who I am. And I'm going to have like a profile. I want a job where I can connect. I want to put the two together. I can write. I can talk. I like doing that. And we came up with journalism, broadcast journalism. And that was kind of a plan that formed in 9th grade over that conversation. And I just kind of always kept that in the back of my mind that it didn't make sense to me to have some degree in something that was unrelated to what I was doing at Flatton.
Right.
If I could put the two together, it'd be perfect.
So you did end up graduating in broadcast journalism.
Yeah. I went to, at Syracuse.
Syracuse, yeah.
School of Public Communications was on the top in the country.
Beautiful.
I mean, you look at the who's who of Dick Stockton, you know, Marv Albert, Bob Costas, Ted Koppel. I mean, Mike Tirico. You just go down a list of broadcasters.
They all went there.
Grads. And not only that, but they're behind the scenes, the producers, the directors, the Syracuse guys.
Really?
Right? Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. So, and I got the best advice I ever got.
Which was?
I had a professor, Dwight Jensen, and it was my senior year. And he says, your degree means nothing. So I'm going,
That's still true.
okay. He goes, your resume means everything. And I'm looking at it, I go, I'm in college, man. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, no, right now. No, it was actually my junior year he said that. And I go on, okay, your resume means everything. So what I started to do was, I had a lot of injuries playing. So anytime I was out with injury or I was off, so summer between my rookie year and my next year, I did the CBC Olympics for radio. I get hurt, I do Syracuse basketball games. I was in Italy, I wrote for the Corriere dello Sport column.
You wrote? Sorry?
Okay. I wrote a column. So anytime I was at time, injured, anything, I started building this resume. So when the day finally came where I'm done, I had a resume.
Interesting.
I could step into a new role. And it was the best advice I ever got. That without that, I guarantee you I would not have done what I've done.
So do you think athletes, regardless if they get injured or not, should try and continue to build a resume as they play?
100%.
But not everyone's going to be articulate and be able to broadcast. So how do you do that? Other areas?
Okay. Well, first of all, like anything else, the more you do, the better you get.
Of course.
So if that's something you want to do, you can work on it.
Yeah.
You can intern. You don't have to get paid. Like I did a ton of stuff for no money.
Right.
Just to do it. Right.
And that's how you got in.
Yeah. That's how you got in. And I'll tell you another thing I did when there was rumor of the Toronto Raptors, the Toronto getting a team.
Yeah.
So what I did was, I wasn't living in Toronto. I was living in Syracuse. I've been playing in Europe. I wanted people to start thinking about me.
For that job.
So
how'd you do that?
What I did was the fan became something on the radio. The fan was starting out in its early years. I got on anytime they were talking future NBA in Toronto talk NBA, call Leo. I bet you I spent 1,000 hours on the phone with Norm Rumack, right? He was always doing the stuff on the fan.
Just doing radio hits.
Night, and just doing anything I could. So I wanted people in Toronto to hear me, people to think about Leo as the NBA guy, because people forget about you, right? So I didn't make a nickel for any of that. I just spent time doing it. Anything I could do, I did to plant the seed. And then when the Raptors ended up or coming into being, you know, Isaiah Thomas, we had played against each other. Brendan Malone was my assistant coach at Syracuse, and he was the first Raptors head coach. And John Bitove, you know, we started this conversation. And I also did the World Championships, which the Bitove group helped put on. And so I was the analyst for that, which was a precursor to getting the NBA team. So anything I could do to kind of get in that, put my foot in that door, I did.
So essentially you had established relationships and you put in a lot of time. How long do you think you spent doing those calls before you got the Raptors job?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So for free.
I remember I said, okay, this is funny. I was playing for Atlanta, and I never played in Toronto as a pro. And here we are, I'm playing with Atlanta. I'm trying to make the team.
Yeah.
And we're playing the Pistons.
Okay.
And I'm scared to death because I don't think I'm going to play. Like, I'm just trying to make this team, and I don't think I'm home in Toronto. We're going to play Maple Leaf Garden. I don't know if I'm going to get in the game. It's embarrassing. It's like I was like scared.
Yeah.
In my hotel room all day. Like, I'm bullshit. And like Kelly Tripucka was a big stud with Detroit, and we played summer league together. So I knew Kelly really well. Isaiah and I, we played. We were both kind of coming out of high school. He played for the United States. I played for Canada. We kind of knew each other, and so we ended up playing this game, and I ended up scoring like 16.
Okay.
I hit 2 buckets down the end, helped us win the game, and so I ended up having this really good game in Toronto. And
everyone's a dream.
The advertising was hilarious. Like, here's this guy who's just trying to make the team, and Isaiah Thomas is a stud. And so Leo Rautins versus Isaiah Thomas. I go, and I might not even play, right? I know, like, oh no, this is. And so my mom used to save all that stuff. So I had this clipping of this, ad, Leo Rautins versus Isaiah Thomas. So back in the days of fax machines, I faxed it to Isaiah. I said, hey, fax machine, you lost once. Don't lose again. You need me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you say?
TV job. No, he got a kick out.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's just, I get in there. Get in any way I could.
Yeah. And you played in the NBA for how long?
Just a couple of seasons.
Couple of seasons.
Over to Europe.
And
injuries just got me.
Of course. You had, like a 10-year career overseas, when I'm mistaken? Italy, Spain, France?
It was close to 10 over, broken up injuries and this and that. But yeah, probably more about 8 years.
Okay, so during your 8 years, when did you start thinking about broadcasting and the end of your career? You had 14 knee surgeries. You had 14 knee surgeries, if I'm not mistaken.
30 altogether, probably. So yeah. So I was already thinking about, honestly, in college, because my knee exploded in college, my junior year.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Maybe like I read. I almost came out my junior year. Red Auerbach was at the Big East tournament, and he was sitting with Jack Donahue. And I made all tournament in one game, in the 3-game tournament, which doesn't happen.
Right.
The game we lost too.
Oh wow.
Which doesn't happen. And Red Auerbach was at that game, and he told Jack that if I came out, he'd take me.
With the Celtics.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee, because the last they were always the top team, so they'd be in the end of the first round. If they don't take you, because no one's going to put in paper. But because of my knee and everything, I really thought about doing that, right? But then I go, I'm going to roll the dice, and that summer, we had a big summer with Canada that we beat the crap out of the United States in the United States, and I kind of elevated to a solid first-round pick. But so I was worried about the end at the beginning.
Yeah. Me too. I can relate to that. Yeah, me too.
And in hindsight, okay, I've had 3 major back surgeries, but I had one when I was 11.
Yeah.
They told my parents, I might never walk again. I'll never play sports again. So if you think about that, I guarantee you that all my knee injuries and other injuries came from that. The way you run, the way you walk.
All by your back.
Right. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't have had everything else I had if it wasn't for my back. So I feel... I didn't quite understand all that when I was a kid, right? Obviously. But when I had my last 2 surgeries, and I walk in a doctor's office, he goes, how'd you play? Like, how are you walking into my office?
Oh,
it started to hit me that I'm blessed I was to even have a career. It's almost like I beat the system somehow.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild. But that's why, like at the back of my mind, I always kept thinking, you know, okay, I gotta have a plan.
Yeah. Man, 8 years is still a long time after all of that. I thought my 3 were tough. You got damn near 30. That's insane. So
I know I was, yeah, and believe me, it was painful.
of course.
Hey, I played in France, and I had guys knocking on my door in training camp because they knew I had a bag this big full of any kind of thing you needed, to anti-inflammatories, painkillers. Like I went to doctors. I got a year's supply of stuff before I went anywhere because that's how I was bad. Like
Yeah.
it was, you know. But I couldn't play without it, right?
I understand.
But I love playing. I didn't want to give it up. Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't taking pills to make me jump higher. I was taking pills just to play because I love playing.
And do you think, 2 questions. Do you think athletes who maybe should stop don't because they love to play and they don't want to give it up?
I should have stopped.
Yeah.
I should have stopped. But, you know, I also had a young family.
Okay.
Making money. But I just love playing, right? I kind of retired, kind of a forcer time. I got hurt, and my first wife didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to travel, so I kind of retired. And I'm working for about a year and a half. I was in the financial services, and they go, man, I could do this when I'm dead. You know, I want to play again. And then it's like, you could have practiced 10 times a day. When I came back, I'm good. I just love playing so much.
Yeah.
And I missed it so much. So I probably should have stopped, but I kept going. But I guess I don't regret it. I mean,
No.
I hurt for it. I don't regret it.
Understood. Yeah. I think your mentality is a little bit different than most because they say that you need to have a like straight linear focus in order to make it. You were already thinking, well, shit, I'm on my way out, but I'm still gonna continue to do this. Do you think that's a mentality that maybe other people should start to adapt or adopt, or you know, if they haven't already?
I don't care what you do. You're just hedging your bets, right?
It's a good way of looking at it.
You drive a car, you know, you make sure the car is taken care of. You make sure you got you know, CAA, AAA, whatever you got, just in case something breaks down. You know, you got a little emergency kit in the car just in case. You got to plan for some things, right? You never know what can happen. So I think that the fact that I had so many things happen to me, it would be stupid for me not to have a plan, not to have an idea that this could stop tomorrow. And to be ready for it, not only physically, but mentally, right? Mentally, you got to be ready for something like that. You know, because I've had some things that came at the worst times. I had my biggest contract ever offered to me from a team in Israel, and I was in Canada at a gateway. They were playing UNC Charlotte in Toronto. It's just some friendly games, and they called me to come play. And my wife at the time was due any day, like within a week. And so I said, what the hell? I'll drive down to Toronto, I'll play a couple games.
Where were you living?
Syracuse.
Okay.
So I go up there, and there's 30 seconds to go in the game. It's hot, sweaty, and floor's got. I make a pass, and I step into the pass. My foot goes like that. It slips to the floor. The bench was probably 15 feet away. You could hear my knee. Everybody on the bench is like that. And I'm going like, oh, I felt something.
Oh, no.
But what happens is if you completely sever it, it's dead. You see people laying on the floor dying because it's not totally torn. But it just snapped completely. ACL. And I'm going like, and coach took me out, yes, I'm good. No.
I had a reclension.
Yeah. And I went to see a doctor the next morning. Went out drinking that night with the boys, you know. I was fine. I went out to the doctor the next morning, goes, yeah, you might have torn your medial collateral, or you might have done this or that. I go, something felt weird, so I drive back to Syracuse and go see a doctor. ACL, MCL, cartilage gone. Boom. So right before this biggest contract of my life, right? So I've had things happen like that, you know, can be devastating.
Are devastating.
Yeah. Well, I remember I got the news and had some cocktails, felt sorry for myself, said, okay, let's do surgery, come back again. And this is the way my mind always worked, right?
Yeah,
Just,
I can relate to that. Relate to that.
And same thing when I was playing in France and I got my last, this is it. This was, I was done. Because we played in the 92 pre-Olympics in Portland when the Dream Team came out and all that. I couldn't tell anybody because I signed, again, this was my best deal. I signed in France. And I couldn't tell anybody. I tore my knee before the tournament started.
You tore what part of your knee?
I tore my cartilage really bad.
Meniscus.
Yeah.
And you played?
Yeah, I played the tournament. And I couldn't tell anybody I was hurt. I couldn't tell anybody I tore my knee. And then literally the day, which was a bad tournament, we should have, anyway. It pissed me off, that whole tournament. But I in surgery, literally the day after the tournament ended, and I told the guy, you can't shave my knee. Don't shave my knee. Don't take the hair off. As you do your arthroscopies, you clean it up. And because I got to show up to a team in less than 2 weeks for training camp.
Did you?
I did, in France. And so
2 weeks after meniscus surgery, you went to go hoop again.
Here's the best part. So my legs are tan, the hair wasn't shaved. I healed quick.
Okay.
And
Clearly,
so
yeah.
You couldn't tell I had surgery. But so I've been screwed out a lot of money, like a lot of guys that played in Europe. So first practice, I get there. Leon Wood is an NBA referee right now. I'm guarding him, and I slip. Not bad, nothing bad.
Oh, okay.
But as soon as I slipped, I grabbed my knees. Oh, I did something. I don't know what I did. I did something. And I wanted to see the doc after practice. I did something. So that was in my pocket. I got hurt there, which I did, but I got hurt.
Oh, man.
And so
That's a good one. That's a good one.
it saved me because I did my own contract this time. So I got, by the second month of the season, I had 70% of my money. And they go, why? Why are we doing a contract like this? I said, because I've been screwed and I'm not getting screwed anymore. So I had 70% of my money. So now, 2 months in the season, I can't play. I'm toast, right? So I have surgery. And, they're talking in French, but nice and slow, so I can understand a whole bit. As the surgery is going, it's like, they're going fast. And they basically said, you're done. You can't play anymore. You can't do anything. So same day, I felt sorry for myself, got the French wine, felt bad, got up next morning, made phone calls, had a job on TV a week later. But
what a way to go. What a way to go.
The funny part was, they go, we have to talk about the money. So we need to take the 15% back.
No.
Right? And I'm like, are you shitting me? I got hurt here. You saw me. I went right there. I went to your doctor. I got hurt here the day I got here. So I'm fighting like everything, right? And so they paid me 70%. They gave me 85%. And I made it, okay, we settled on that 15% they could take back because they needed to get another player.
Yeah.
I acted like I was so pissed off. I walked out of there, but I walked at 85% of the contract. 2 months.
That's good. That's good. What a way to go. I didn't go like that. France was a shit time for me. I should never have gone. I understand. But, man, most people don't walk away from those situations in the plus. And you're too far removed. So whoever watches this now, they can't say anything. But you off camera. You said something a little bit earlier about you retired, basically. You got in the financial industry. So would you say the reason why you went back is because your identity was so caught up in basketball? I think that's a big thing for even myself, for other athletes, is that you identify, and you've done it so long, you've done it all your life, that this is something that you now is like, well, I can't do this. I want to go back and hoop, man. I'm a hooper.
That's a big thing for athletes. I think that's the hardest thing for people to get over, athletes to get over, that identity.
What's yours?
That wasn't it for me. I just missed it.
Okay.
And I realized that I could sit at a desk and make phone calls when I'm 85 years old, but I can't run up and down the floor and the basketball. So I just missed playing. And I was like, I was making money. I was working.
Yeah.
But I just go, I can do this later, right? And so I just wanted to play again. and I got healthy during that time. I was working. So, but the identity. But I do remember though, like as soon as I said I stopped playing, because again, it wasn't really my choice. My ex and I was hurt. I did have that moment where I go like, hey, when am I gonna do it?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't. It was a little late for the TV stuff and this and that. So I was just like, so you have that moment where you struggle with that a little bit, and then these guys offered me an opportunity, and I took it. I took it as much for the education of the financial industry as much as the job, because they train you to do the whole bit. So I figure out what I got to lose.
Right.
I get an education out of it. So, but yeah, it's like I don't think the identity thing was a big thing for me. It was more I just missed it. I love playing.
Would you say that other people who played at your level at that time, they had the same sort of story? It wasn't a big deal for them. They were able to go from one thing to the other and didn't struggle with identity. Have you seen people struggle with that?
I see a lot of guys struggle, and I think I see it every day.
Yeah.
I got former players that I coach struggle. I got guys that played with the struggle. And it's a big thing. It's like, you know, you're identified that people relate to you like that. People talk to you.
That's how I know you.
Yeah, it's your own confidence is built on that.
So why isn't it talked about as much?
It should be, and it should be talked about early on in players. I think it's really important to players. You have a plan. Hey, you can have the greatest career in the world, but have a plan, because, okay, you can make an ungodly amount of money and you can play for 10 years, do whatever, but you still got to live for another 50, 60, 70, who knows, right? So what are you going to do?
And find purpose in that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which is the hard part. Like, how do you find purpose in, no matter how much money you make? I don't think it matters. How do you wake up every day and feel like I have value and I'm actually contributing to something?
Yeah, or even taking that money and doing things with it to either build your wealth or maintain your wealth or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, purpose, you got to find purpose, right? Otherwise you see a lot of players get lost, right? Even players, how many players have, you know, we read about that had a ton of money just pissed through it all.
Yeah.
Because they either don't have the background, the education, the foresight to understand that, you know, you got 25 cars, those payments keep going. You got 20 houses, those payments keep going. It's like nothing stops.
Right.
You know, you have 10 kids, those payments don't stop.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things happen in your life that you got to keep going.
Well, I think your situation, you know, I mean, to play in the NBA, like you're one of 4,374 people to touch an NBA floor. You're in very rare air. But for the majority of people, like just think about that number. The majority of people are like myself. I never touched an NBA floor, and I still identify with basketball so much. So how do you, for the majority of people, what besides having a plan, what are some things that they can do to ease that process? Because most people aren't even going to see $1 million playing basketball.
Yeah, I think it's important to find something that you love to do. You know, it's you know. And the only way you do it is to try different things, right?
Yeah.
You got to find things that you know excite you a little bit, you know, because what is playing ball? You get kind of an adrenaline flow, right? That excites you.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah. So you got to find some other things that excite you. So it's one thing if you just go and find a job where you just like monotonous, that's not going to work for you. I don't think. I think you got to try to find things that, you know, bring some of that out that you're used to having.
But the majority are forced to do that. They're forced to go. Like if I didn't broadcast, that'd be the situation I'm in. If you didn't broadcast, who knows, right? You know, we might be in those situations. So,
but you know, so you just gotta, and like I say, you talk about broadcasting. That's the first thing a lot of players say when broadcasting.
Yeah.
How many jobs are there?
Shit.
You know, it's you know, especially say in Canada, how many jobs are there?
Don't come for mine, please.
Yeah, I keep saying that too.
Yeah.
But they are. The older you get, unless it's time.
Yeah.
But it's so you gotta it's important, you know, and I think the one thing athletes got to realize is you have access.
I know.
Which means like, so, you know,
while you're playing,
and even after people still know who you are, just go to you meet people, you go to a real estate guy, see what he does, go to this guy, go to a TV guy, see what they do, how they do it. Does this excite you? Do you like it? How much can you make? Is it something? take advantage of that. A lot of athletes don't do that. Like I think back, I regret, okay, what is one thing we have as athletes?
You're asking me? Yeah. Well, yeah.
We all have it when we're playing.
Time.
That means you can, that's a great answer. A lot of athletes don't come up with that. Time.
You do.
And I regret that I didn't like go to law school. Not that I want to be a lawyer, to have that degree.
On your resume.
Yeah. To have that background. That's something I regret not doing because you have time.
When you practice twice a day, though, and you're tired as hell, do you really have time, though? Like, I had time. I definitely did. Weekend, 1 day off. Yeah. We practiced, you play.
Most of your summers.
Okay, yes.
You a lot of online stuff you could do that. You got time. Like I said, when I came back after being that semi-retired, we could have practiced 5 times a day. I didn't even need a nap. I was so excited about playing again.
Oh, shit.
Then you have time.
Not me, brother. Yeah.
I'm just so excited about playing again. So I don't know. I think that, you know, I tell my boys, you know, one of my boys playing the NBA, Andy. I got another son that's playing in college now. And I used to tell them all the time, you got time. When you're sitting in your apartment in Turkey.
Yeah, I know.
I said, you could be doing online stuff. You could, take advantage of that time.
You have to want to do that, though.
You do. And that's where you kind of got to see
the discipline.
And it's hard.
It is.
It's hard.
To have that type of focus and discipline to do that. Because I had time too. What did I do? Sleep, go out, have fun, ball out, enjoy my time overseas because I thought I made it. You know, so I didn't really do that. But I understand what you mean. Do you think that when you did stop playing, this is one thing that I struggled with was just the loss of structure. I had been doing the same thing every day. You practice twice a day, 10 and 6. Games on Saturday. That means I play 4 times a month. I'm evaluated 4 times a month. And then I come back home and I had to get a job. After my last knee surgery, I lost a lot of money. So, you know, now I have to have a job. So I didn't have time to really grieve. And the loss of structure took me about a year to get over that. Is that something that affected you?
I did a conference with a pain conference with injuries and things like that, but athletes and military.
Okay.
Structure.
Yeah.
You're both coming from structure. Yeah. You know what your day is going to be like. You know what you have to do. Boom, boom, boom. This military guy, exactly the same thing. All of a sudden you walk into this no structure environment, and now you've got, like, I used to hate when a season ended. I hated it because I'm going, if I want a ball today, I got to go find the run. Yeah. I got to find guys to play with. I got to get a gym. I hated that. I knew that every day I got practice. I got to work on. I got this, and it drove me nuts. Like I used to look at regular students. I go, how do you bitch about not having time? I got practice and I can get all my stuff done. And when the season ended, I'm going like, you got nothing but time.
Yeah, group chat's not buzzing no more. No one's talking anymore. Everyone goes their separate ways. Yeah.
So like, I think that's a big hurdle.
Yeah.
For athletes, you got to. For example, I'll talk to my son Andy. I say, you got to create your own structure. You got to say, okay, I'm going to get up at, don't sleep till, lab. I'm going to get up at 6.
Yeah.
I'll get my workout in. Get it in.
Is that what you did?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
You get it in because one, you're going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
It's healthy. You don't want to gain weight after you're done playing and you feel like crap. So, get your workout in. That way your day starts on a kind of familiar and a good note. And then you start, getting into whatever you need to, want to get into, try to get into, go meetings, do something, but give yourself structure.
Yeah.
Because without that structure, you get lost quick. Because it's easy to just fall into this, I don't know, malaise or whatever, just where every day just kind of blends into another day. And then it becomes really hard to get out of that.
Big time. What would you say when you stopped? What was your biggest loss when you stopped playing basketball, and what did you gain in that process?
Biggest loss, I think the camaraderie. It's not playing the game.
No, it's the stories.
It's hanging out with the fellas. Like it's being on the bus, playing, dinners, hanging out. You miss that more than anything else. I mean, once it hurts enough, you don't care about playing with whatever. Fun. You miss that.
Yeah.
That's gone. So you got to find you got to substitute, right?
Man.
But you do find it outside of that. on the positives, now you got your time to create. You do have that time that you didn't have. So now you can use that time to create, your way of living, what you want to do, right? And how you want to live your life, or how you want to spend time with your kids if you got family, or so, from one you lose one thing, you gain another, and you got to look at it that way.
Yeah, right.
I think the big thing is always look at it as a positive thing. I mean, it
can be hard to do though.
It is hard to do, but hey, I always say, no matter how bad my day is, somebody's having one a hell of a lot worse. So it's,
touche.
You gotta think that way, right? If you don't, I mean, what's your alternative? I think a lot of people just get bogged down into their problems instead of thinking you got problems. I'll tell you what I do every single morning.
Please.
I got dogs. I walk downtown. I walk on the boardwalk on water. Every single morning when I walk, as I'm looking out over the water, sun's coming up, I'm thinking of everything I have to be thankful for. Every morning. Every morning. Everything I have to be thankful for. So now, no matter what happens, right, I'm already started on this positive wavelength, right? And you just build off of that, right? So, hey, we're all going to have setbacks. We're all going to have bad things happen to us. We're all going to have, loss, of people important to everything. But you wake up, I'm a firm believer, the more grateful you are for what you do have, the more you see it, the more good things come your way. But when you're always thinking, oh man, it brings bad. It brings more of that. So, I do that every single day,
Would you say that that's a good practice for a retiring
athlete, is to think about what they have to be thankful for, even though at that time it's going to be very difficult? Because when I was in that situation, I can tell you I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, but you think about, what do you got? I got connections. I got family. I got a strong body, a strong mind. I got discipline. You think of all the things you have, right? And you start thinking that way. So how can I use it? And it's just, so it's like, again, we go back to the structure, the discipline. What you do have as an athlete is discipline.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And you know what? And you can be coached. That means somebody could tell you you're doing a shit job, and you're not going to go cry. You're going to, I do better.
That's right.
Because that's in our business. People tell you you're playing lousy, do better.
That's right.
And a lot of people can't go to a job and be coached or taught because they're too sensitive. They right? Well,
especially today.
Especially today. But we're used to that. So you take those things and you use them to make you better. Right? You just know, if you're a jumper and falling, you get in the gym and you jump 1,000 times a day. Yeah. So, if you're working in broadcasting and okay, I gotta do this. You're not afraid of work. You're not afraid of finding out what you gotta do. You're not afraid of
no, I'll just call you and you'll tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong.
And if you listen to me, you're screwed. No, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's but okay, but just the fact you say, I'll call you.
Yeah.
So many people don't make that call because they don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, I
want to know.
Yeah,
but athletes, we want to know. Like, okay, how can I get better? What can I do? And we're not afraid to do it. So those are positives you got to take from one career and translate them to another. Because I'll tell you, like I've worked with a lot of different people, great broadcasters. Man, the first thing I do when I sit down next to Mike Breen, Mike Tirico, John Saunders, I sit down, Dan Schoen, I go, Rod Block, well, you tell me. If I talk too much, tell me to shut up. You don't like what I'm saying? Say something.
Yeah.
You think I'm doing it? Tell me. Yeah. I have no problem with that. It's your show. You tell me. And two things happen. One, I disarm the person I'm working with.
Right.
All right. I let them know that, we're good. The second thing is I want to know. Like I'm letting you know that I'm not afraid of you telling me, hey, you sound like an idiot. You said talking too much. Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Because most people won't say that.
They don't.
Yeah.
But see, when you have that, when you open that up right away, I think that it sends a message from your side, and it also, I think, makes them, like I said, disarms them, makes them more comfortable, and you can get feedback that way.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think that comes from being an athlete, right? How many times I've gone to a coach, man, if you see something, tell me, man. It's like, even teammates going, hey, dude, I'm having trouble. What do you, you talk to guys, right?
Yeah.
guys you trust and you build trust.
Do you think that when you stop playing, do you think anything as a young athlete, whether it's now or back in your day, you know, you've been broadcasting for over 30 years. Do you think anything you've done in that time has been more significant than when you played? Because you probably still, like, my first couple years retiring, people was like, yo, you still play ball? You know, your knees, how's your knees? How's your this? So it's like, you're still remembered for your playing days. So do you think anything you've done since then has been as significant as when you were the 16-year-old prodigy?
Everything. Being a father.
Big one.
And my kids having success.
Yeah.
Hey, any success my kids have is way more enjoyable than any success I've had. Way more enjoyable. Like, my son playing in the NBA, my son getting a scholarship, my son, that to me is way more exciting than anything I've done. You know, to have another career, and whether TV work, you know, you're recognized for what you do or your accomplishment, that people think you're good at what you do, this and that. So, like, I honestly don't even think about. It's just funny now, like the World Cup. People think the game was just invented.
Yeah.
Because we got all these NBA players now in Canada. But during the whole World Cup, I getting all this stuff on Twitter, and people say, hey, I didn't know you were scoring. I didn't know you.
Until Dylan Brooks broke your record, yeah.
Either. I didn't either. But it's taking the success of today for people to recognize what we actually did back then.
Right.
We were top 6 in the world all the time.
There you go.
We had 7 or 8 draft picks in 1982. We beat the United States by 25. People don't know that, right? But now, because of this stuff, people are talking about it. But to me, it's like, I don't care. It's like, it's kind of funny to me, but I'm not living in that life, right? Like I said, when we played, like, I'm sure guys today know where they stand on the record books. When we played, I had no idea I was leading scorer. I had no idea how many points I had in the tournament. I didn't care. Are we going to win? We're going to lose. That's it. We're going to get a medal. We're going to not get a medal. That's all we cared about. So, like, I haven't, like, all these people are telling me all these stats. I got this guy texting me, like, every day, hey, did you know that? No, I didn't.
Well, you know why? Because people do care. So what advice would you give to those that are maybe still stuck? Because that's going to be me one day. I'm going to be thinking about, you know, all my record books and all that stuff. Like, what do you say to the, to the young player that isn't able to maybe not, like, live in that life because that's all they've done?
Hey, that was fun. That was fun.
It's too simple.
But now you got to find the other fun. That's the key, right? You got to replace it with something, right? So I get just as much fun going to do a game, going into the studio, putting on my suit, going to work. I get just as much fun doing that as I did playing. I really do. I say I do I speak at a dinner or something. I get just as much fun doing that. Having people walk out and say, hey, that was great. That was a great talk. I really enjoyed it. So you find all those things, right? You got to find substitutes.
Yeah.
You really do. Being a great dad, try to be the best dad you can.
Yeah.
You got to find things that, because like I said, I mean, like, just from my standpoint, I can look back, but I don't even know half the stuff that I did anymore. It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's not gonna. It doesn't change anything. And oh yeah, it's kind of cool that people talk about it now, but does that change my life in any way? No. And you could say people do care about, but they really don't. The only reason people are talking about it because all of a sudden we have a good team and they're just bringing these numbers up now. But for 25 years, nobody gave a shit, right? So, in some ways it's kind of funny because when I played for Canada, I don't ever remember very few times playing in Canada, very few times. And so we just kind of had this obscure existence. So maybe in some ways that was good because nobody cared what we did.
Yeah.
We just did it because we loved it.
Yeah.
Where all these guys now playing, it's such a big deal they're playing. It again becomes, their life.
Magnitude. That's right. Well, social media does that. You know, it weighs a lot on your mind. And we'll talk about a former Syracuse player, Dion Waiters. I read the Players Tribune, and he talked about when he stopped playing, how like depressed he was. You know, he'd be in bed, 4 or 5 days a week and not moving, and because he didn't know what else to do. So what do you say to someone like that who may be living in that, in that time and era? And like, yeah, you have to find substitutes, but do you think it's that easy? And how, like,
I'm not saying it's easy, but it goes back to giving yourself structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were an athlete. If you're laying in bed 4 or 5 days a week, your body's not used to doing nothing. Give your body some stimulation, work out, get up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That your body's too important to you as an athlete. So you gotta.
That's all we have.
You can't neglect it.
Yeah.
So even post, and there is an adrenaline flow. There is something that kicks in when we go into a gym, whether it's to work out or a bulk. There's something that kicks in because that's what we know. Right?
Yeah.
So hey, get a trainer if you need it. Whatever, just do that.
Yeah.
That's a starting point. Get yourself. I'll never forget. Walter Davis was a great NBA player. And he came to speak at one of my basketball camps one time. And I go, man, you look good. He goes, just because I can't play doesn't mean I can't look like I can. I never forgotten that, right?
Yeah.
So I go, okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but it's part of who we are, right?
Yeah.
So look like a player.
I'm trying.
Yeah, but you see a lot of guys that don't, man, dude, what have you been doing?
Yeah, I know.
It's Oreos every day. Like, dude, this. So, that's part of something that gives you structure to feel good.
Right. You still work out?
Yeah, every day.
Okay.
Every day. Now, obviously, I got to modify what I do because of my back, but I work out every single day.
Okay.
I'm at my rookie year playing weight.
No way. I can't say that.
So, like I said, if I want to put on a suit, I want to look good in a suit.
100%.
I want to look like I can play.
Right.
I can't. I look like
yeah, no, I feel you. Me too.
And that's good for your ego. Right, it's good. Hey, we all have egos. You don't become a good player without an ego.
100%.
That's gonna feed your ego a little bit.
Right.
So,
but it's also hard to calm the ego down when you're used to excelling so much, and then you got to stop.
Yeah. But like I said, different ways of doing it. Right. So, and then like I said, I tell Dion, I said, okay, start calling people. What do you want to figure out? What do you want to do? Call teams you played for. If you want to coach, is there an opening in some capacity? Something. Whether it's from working with players, coaching, marketing, scouting.
So many avenues. Yeah.
So many avenues. Call everybody you know and start feeling that out.
Yeah.
So you say, so from 6 to 8, I'm going to work out. I'm going to have breakfast, whatever else. From 10 to 12, I'm going to make phone calls. Start putting structure, right? And explore. Because what happens is if you don't ask, you don't know. Right? How do you know that if you don't make some phone calls to here, and here, a door will open? Call one of, you go down a list of all the guys you play. Where are they? What do they do? Hey, let me call so-and-so. Hey, what's up? You hear about anything? Like, let's go. Hey, we got this new group to put together. You don't know, right? So dedicate 2 hours of your day to making phone calls, talking to people. And I think by feeling good about your body, getting some structure, looking into some different things. What's your degree in? Like, what did you study? A lot of times going back to where you played college, like especially in the States, there's so many alumni, there's so many other things. Dion's at Syracuse, right? Alumni strong there. Like, are there opportunities there? Just to explore them, right? But anytime you dig deep a little bit and give yourself that structure, I think that you're going to find some satisfaction in that. I think you'll see some results in most cases if you're dedicated to doing it. But put that same dedication. You got to go, shoot 200 jumpers, 1,000 jumpers. Say, well, you need to get on the phone, make 2 hours of phone calls,
and then go do that.
Yeah, it's the same. It's that same mentality where, like, you didn't even think about going to the gym and doing it.
No, never.
So don't even think about this is what you got to do. So like I told myself, for example, write it down. Write down your daily schedule, what you're going to do. Jack Donahue had a great line. So, a dream is just a dream until you write it down. Then it becomes a goal. Right? You can think and imagine all things you want to do, and they can just fly away. You write it down, you got to look at it.
You got to do
check it. Did I do this today?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did I do this? This is what I got to do. Okay, this is tomorrow. Write it down. Give yourself a schedule, because that's what we're used to.
Right.
And I think those are great starting points. I think athletes, and all it is taking what you already know and what you've been taught and how you've thrived and succeeded, and you're translating that to something else.
Scary, but that's the way to do it. Yeah.
Wasn't it scary the first time you walk in to a college practice, first time you try out for a team, first time you, like, it's scary.
Big time, big time, big time.
I remember walking on the floor, like Philadelphia, you got Dr. J, Bobby Jones, Moses Malone, you walk on the floor and go, shit.
Well, we got to act like we're not.
Yeah. You can act like you're ready to kick ass.
Yeah.
And, those are things that, we've done.
Yeah.
And now you got to do it in a different area, different platform. But I think the most important thing is it's in you. It's in you, because you wouldn't have had success at what you did. So you just got to bring it out, right?
And you're a father of 4, and one of your boys, he followed in your footsteps, went to Syracuse, got drafted by the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, played overseas. And I have to be honest, he did give me some buckets over there in Germany. I got to say, you taught him well, played him my first year. He's going through that process now, as you told me on the phone off camera. How are you helping him and guiding him through that? Are you giving him structure? Are you telling him to listen, don't identify with basketball anymore and try and find something different?
Well, he's funny too, because for example, he says, yeah, you look back, well, I could have done this. I go, you know what? First thing you got to do is acknowledge what you did. I say, hey, you were a kid that you only had 3 schools recruit you, right? And you go to Syracuse. Right? By the time you're done, Bobby Knight says you're the best 2 guard in the country, and your team gets to number 1. And you would have won an NCAA championship if your center hadn't gotten hurt. And you get drafted in the NBA. The percentage of people, like you said earlier, it's infinitesimal who gets drafted.
Oh my goodness.
You have a great career in Europe.
Yeah.
I said, instead of saying, you got to go, look what I did.
Yeah.
And a lot of players don't do that.
No,
they
it's hard.
Back with regret at some time. I go, look what you did. How many players, number one, play at a level like Syracuse? How many players take a team to number 1 in the country and become one of the key guys on that team? How many players do get drafted? How many, you played for Canada. Think of all those things. And those are great days.
100%.
And then the same thing I tell them is structure. Structure. You got to start looking at, I told him, so I got really good friends in the business world, and they're friends of his, right? He's met them over here. I said, go have lunch. Go buy him lunch. Go take him out to breakfast. Talk to him. See if that something excites you. See if that's good. Same thing. I said, get in the thing of where he does Muay Thai, right?
Oh, yeah?
Martial arts.
Nice.
That's a great discipline. And, that gives you that. He's replaced basketball with something that gives him that same adrenaline flow. He loves it. I said, just don't dare fight. Been concussed too many times. But, so you start substituting things and start looking in. So he's in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is once you start putting more structure in, you can see a difference. Like he feels a big difference with more structure. Because what kind of screwed him up a little bit, he said, I'm done playing. And then he take a little bit of time to just kind of feel out, and then he went back. Because the coach called him out and dragged him out of retirement. And even that, I think how you approach things. Like Andy was always one of those guys that, I got to practice for this. I said, he goes, I'm not in shape. I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, you know what? Go have fun. What if I can't make a shot? I said, then have fun. Listen, 1,000 shots. Fly involved. Who cares? They're going to pay you money to go to Greece in a vacation place. Who cares? Who cares? Just have fun. So he gets there. They're 11th place. They're in 4th, and they decide to keep him for the rest of the playoffs. He was only supposed to be there 2 months, right? But you know why things went great? because he just had fun.
He didn't care.
Didn't care. And I said, you know, if you would have approached half of your other career in Europe with that same mentality, you would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
You enjoy it more. And I think players miss out on that. They don't enjoy it as much as they should. But anyway, so he's, you know, he's kind of going through that process right now. You know, just feeling his way through it. But all these things that we're talking about are helping, right? Substitutes, discipline, structure. You gotta put them in your life. You have to.
Yeah, or else you're gonna die. It's gonna be very difficult.
You're gonna use up all your money, all your everything you work for, and it's gonna just disappear. So, yeah, and like I said, just like, you know, I watch him, like I said, and he comes back from Muay Thai, and it's like he looks like he just played a game. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, so you got that, like he comes. I got a great gym in my condo, so he comes to my gym every morning at 6 a.m. And by the time I get up, he's sitting in my living room having a coffee or having a protein drink. He already's got his workout in, right? So he's bringing that structure in, right? And he's always been very interested in real estate. He's actually had success on his own in real estate, so he's getting his license too.
Nice.
I said, look, even if it's something you decide is not what you want to do, you have a license.
At least trying. Try something different.
It costs you $500 to get a license. You got to study.
A little more than that.
You did study, but you got a license.
Yeah.
Right? I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's not going to hurt me to get a license. Why not? We'll do it together. You know? So I don't even need to do it, but I'm going, let's do it. Why not?
Yeah.
Because how's it going to hurt me having a license? And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing in Florida. I'm going to get a license in Florida. I live in Florida when I'm in Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a license there too. Why not?
I know, you got to rub that in. You just going to avoid the winter. And
I hate cold.
Yeah, I know.
His body doesn't like cold.
I know.
But the point is, like, so even now, even though for me, I don't need it, but why not?
Yeah.
Why not? What if I get a license? I go, you know, this is great. I love this. Well, I'll find out. Same thing with you. I told him, I said, you'll find out too.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you sell that first house for $5 million, you get the commission, or shit, this ain't bad.
Yeah.
You know, let me sell 10 more, right? So I think the whole thing is you got nothing to lose by sticking your nose in and trying things.
Yeah.
And that's what we did as athletes.
We were curious, which is, I think what you're saying is the thing to be is to be curious, to try something.
And not be afraid to do it. I think fear is a big thing, right? But you can't be afraid to try things. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So what?
I know.
It's like,
I know.
You can't.
It's so simple, but we even doing this. Doing this was like, this is so simple. Do it. It sucks or it's great. But in my mind, there's pulling a million different answers and things, and you're trying to be very logical. So I understand, but it's scary though. You know,
it's scary, but okay. We're having a great conversation here.
Yeah.
Because you prepared and you're ready to do this, we're having a great conversation. I mean, we don't have a good conversation unless you're doing a good job, because you're saying the right things to make me talk. So we're having a great conversation.
Yeah.
Which means it might have been scary, but you're making it happen, right? And that's the whole thing. Is if you're afraid to fail, you won't take that step. And we weren't afraid to fail when we had to play a big game. We weren't afraid to fail when we had to walk into a trial. We did it.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance you're going to get cut. There's a good chance you won't win the game. There's a good chance, whatever. Good chance you're going to play like shit. Who cares? You still do it. So you can't be afraid. And like I said, you know, you try things. You know, it's like I said, worst can happen. Doesn't work.
That's a good
And try the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's an old saying too. It's like some of the most successful people and the richest people were literally a stone's throw away from being bankrupt. And if they hung in there just a little bit longer, they hit the jackpot. And if they had quit when all the adversity was hitting them, would never be the billionaire they are.
Yeah.
You can, and it's not one or two. You read the stories about people, Gates,
Oprah, whoever. Yeah.
They're this close to being nothing, but they keep persevering.
Yeah. It's like the miner. There's a meme with the two miners. The miner stops this short before all the gold, and the other minor just kept on going until he found it. You know,
And that's exactly it. Right?
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's that simple. You just got to keep. And hey, what did we learn as athletes? You're gonna get your ass kicked.
hell yeah! Oh my goodness.
You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
You're gonna get cut. You're gonna get, like, all these things are gonna happen. And that's where I go back to having a goal, writing it down. That if those things happen and you have a goal, you know that, okay, now I got to redo my goal and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a goal, you get you're just like, well, you're done, right? But you can't. So every time, for example, you know, when I blew out my knee playing for Canada, I came back and I played professionally 6 months after the date of surgery.
Bro, you're a machine.
Yeah, but no brace, no nothing. I found a doctor. I said, I don't want to wear a brace. He goes, you don't have to. How hard are you willing to work? And I worked, and so I refocused. Had a goal. I said, I'm going to be playing I got torn my ACL July. I said, I'm playing January, right? And I worked 6 hours, 7 hours a day in my body. You know, you find new things. I remember sitting on my couch watching Michael Jordan when he broke his foot.
Yeah.
He's in a pool. Yeah,
I did that.
So I go, I call up the Syracuse swimming coach. I said, they got a huge pool, like a pool is this deep on the side. I said, can I come work out in your pool? He said, yeah. I came in there. I went in there every day. And if you looked over, you go, what's wrong with this guy? I ran for 40 minutes because we played FIBA 40 minutes. And then I played a 40-minute basketball game by myself.
So 80 minutes.
I'm jumping like I'm blocking shots. I'm shooting fadeaways. I'm playing a game. I got these sneakers on in the water, but I'm playing a game by myself in the water. I'm giving my body every movement I'd have in a basketball game, and the conditioning aspect of it, rebuilding my knee.
And it puts no pressure on your joints.
Michael Jordan
on
TV. Because you remember back then, I didn't have a million doctors that guys have now helping. I had to do this on my own. And I had a goal that I want to play. So what can I do to make that happen? So I see something, I'm going to try it. What's the worst that happens? Like, okay, does it work? But guess what? I walked out of the pool and go, oh my God, I feel so good. It made a huge difference, right? So you find ways, and again, it's stimulating, right? You know, you go every day, you're working out. Hey, what if I tried it? Hey, this is pretty cool, something different, right? So you get stimulated again. So you got to find ways to do that, right? You have to.
I'm gonna change your name to Wolverine in my phone. I don't know how you were able to do all 6 months is incredible. My goodness.
Well, you know, there's always luck.
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah.
It's luck. But I think today they're so cautious with athletes that, you know, a year and a half, 2 years is kind of a window. But, you know, I had a surgeon that said, you're replacing a ligament with a tendon. Tendons are stronger than ligaments.
Yeah.
You have one threshold you can't speed up. Bone. Bone takes 6 months. So you're screwing into your bone, and the bone, that takes 6 months. For example, I have my back surgery. I feel like $1 million, except I'm at 5 months. They did a bone graft and all this other stuff. That takes 6 months. You can't speed that up.
Right.
Nothing you can do about that. But everything else, I can accelerate and strengthen my body. So, like, I was 90% on my ACL after 2.5 months, right? Because as long as I don't stress the bone, I can do everything else I need to do, and
get your range of motion back. And
everything. I had my range of motion back in 6 days.
Yeah, nah, you Wolverine, bro. That's crazy.
No, but you gotta, like, you know, you gotta do it.
Took me almost a month and a half to get I had the towel every day with the towel, pulling back and forth. Never got my range of motion back.
That's something aside. Like when I had my back surgery, which was like, pretty involved, in April. I sent a video to my doctor. I got home on the 5th day. On the 7th day, I sent a video to my doctor. I went to the gym and I was walking and doing all this stuff, and he goes. Most people with your surgery after a month are happy to get up, go to the bathroom, and come back. Right? I said, I can't do that.
You got to get up and get it.
I got to do it. Now, as long as I'm not going to be stupid. Like, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and you tell me, is it okay? Or I'm doing it. He goes, if you do this, this, and this, it's okay. I said, all right. So every time I try to do something new, I send him a video. Can I do that? I show him machine. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And if he says yes, I'm on, right? And like basically he sent us like 4 months ahead of schedule, right? So, but that's, so again, I could get down and into, like I was, hey, I was watching a 30 for 30 with Bill Walton yesterday. My son had it on, and I was watching it, and he had a point where he wanted to kill himself.
Yeah.
With his back. His back, he happened with his feet, but his back was so bad. And he showed the pictures of his back and going, that's it. Right. But I'll tell you a funny story. Alex McKechnie, Director of Sports Science for the Raptors. You know,
Yeah, I know Alex.
Alex, the load manager.
Yeah.
Alex is a wonderful human being, and he's brilliant. And March, end of March, I literally crawled. I lived 2 blocks in the Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
It took me almost 50 minutes to walk home. By the time I got to my condo, I got off the elevator, I crawled on the floor to my door. I unlocked my door. I crawled in. My dog was, I got a suit on. My dog was like all over me. I crawled to the couch.
I think I saw you that day.
It was unbelievable. And I called Alex. I said, I can't do this anymore, man. I can't do this anymore. I need help.
Yeah.
He called. He had the team. Gave me the number for the team psychologist. He thought I was gonna kill myself. I'm going, and so I know what Bill Walton's feeling.
Yeah.
But I was, no, I'm not killing myself. But what I need to know is I need to know an end. At that point, I had no surgeon. I had no answer. I had nothing. And I'm dealing with this pain. It was mind-bending pain.
Yeah.
So it was depressing. It was everything, right?
Of course.
I had no end. As soon as I had a surgeon and that,
And a
I
date.
knew, now I had to wait for the Raptor season in
Yeah.
because I wasn't going to miss any, right? We're athletes. We don't miss games.
Nah.
So, but I knew there was an end. So now no matter how much pain I got, I know it's going to end and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I know what Bill Walton was saying. Like you want to jump off a bridge. It's excruciating. It's crazy. I was on more drugs than I could imagine. You know, it's I don't like that. I don't like my body not being where it's supposed to be in my head with drugs, taking drugs. But I couldn't function without because the pain was so bad. But once I had an end game, I was okay.
Yeah.
Right? You just need that end game. So, then you have surgery. Now you got a new end game. How fast can I be normal?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you just got to keep adjusting, and it's goals. And that's structure, right? I know that, okay, I got to wake up today. I got to do this breathing stuff. I got to do this stuff. I got to do that stuff to get to where I want to be, right?
And you're still working on it even now. I remember I saw you during when you could barely get up the steps. I remember that, man. Yeah, that was last season. Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't even say it. I mean, I'm in studio, and I had taking so much stuff because of the pain. Like, we do a hit, I put my head down and go, I was asleep.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, do the next quarter hit. Like that's how much pain. Like, we had these armrests on our seats, and the studio thing is right here in the studio, and the pain going through my rear end and legs. I'm literally lifting myself up on my elbows and smiling at the camera, but I'm holding myself up, and I couldn't straighten my legs, but the pain was like, and I'm talking like this. Really, it was unbelievable.
To be honest.
It was horrible, right? But like I said, you fight through it, you do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, but like that all. But again, you don't do that if we hadn't gone through what we went through as athletes, right? So all that's in our pocket.
Right.
And athletes got to understand that we have all that in us, right? It's all there.
Just got to find a new way to.
Just got to find a way to bring it out in different manner, different fashion, right? And because we've got a training ground that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And think of how many great people have you been exposed to? How many coaches that have taught you stuff? How many lessons have you learned? How many people have you run into that we've been exposed to so many good things. It's in here, right? And I just got to bring it up.
I wanna end with a game, because I like games. So this game is called 4-3. So it's 3 questions or statements. You can only answer with 1 word or 1 sentence. First one, basketball is.
Joy.
One thing you know now that you wish you knew as an athlete.
One word?
Or sentence. This is more of a statement, so this is actually a question, but either way.
Is that again?
One thing you know now that you wish you knew as an athlete.
I would not worry about shit.
Good answer. Third one. If I was to say, how has your transition been? What would you say?
Smooth.
Well, with that being said, we're going to smoothly take an exit. But I'd like to say, Leo, thank you so much for doing this. You don't owe me shit. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I've watched you on TV majority of my life. And it means the world to me that you'd even be here.
Me off a bunch of times.
We're not going to say that. But I just wanted to say, you know, it means the most to me that you're here, that you're willing to do this. And be vulnerable and talk about this, and I think it's going to help a lot of people, and it's definitely helped me. So, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate it. Hey, it's all about we got to take care of each other. That's the key.
I appreciate that,
That's
man.
the way this world's got to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if you like this podcast, it would mean the most to me and our team if you could like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.